Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley wrapping it up here in Las Vegas. Still a beautiful, warm evening. We had lots of great racing tonight, Jim. An extended program because of the 250 East and 250 West, plus the shootout, plus the 450s. Let's start with that 250 East. And we knew it was coming in all about the championship and 5 points. Will Hahn with the lead. Marvin Muskin needed a little bit of room. He almost made it happen, but rumor had it Will Hahn rode with a broken hand.
He did. He absolutely. It's a boxer's break, and that in practice when we saw him got off, they taped it up, shot it up a little bit, numbed it up for him, but he went out there, and that's why we didn't see him in that East-West shootout. He wanted to save his hand, and hopefully, he'll be ready for the outdoors. But it was a great race in that East. Marvin needed to get a little bit better start, but the guy that got the start, and I think the reason why he got the start is because of his weight. The three-time AMSOIL Arena Cross champion, Tyler Bowers, it was wet out there. They had to put the moisture, and it was wet. A lot of guys spun off the line, but Bowers didn't spin. He went on to win this thing, and the only win for Mitch Payton and the Monster Energy Pro Circuit guys this year on both coasts.
Yeah, and how about Tyler Bowers' contract situation now? He signed a contract a couple more years in Arena Cross, but he came out here and had his most successful Supercross season ever and picked up his first win ever. Does he have a future in Monster Energy Supercross?
Oh, of course. By all means. Anytime you can come out here and win one of these things, you got a future. It's whether or not he can get out of that contract. But you never know. Mitch Payton is a pretty powerful man, and if he wants somebody, I'm sure they'll make it happen.
All right, congratulations, Will Hahn. Just 1 year ago, Anaheim practice, the very first event of 2012, didn't even make it. Yeah. He crashed in practice, was injured the rest of the season. This year, you couldn't have believed that he had expectations that he would win the championship just 1 year later. That has to be even a surprise for Will Hahn. Everyone knew he had the speed, but it was a question of could he put it together for a whole season. Really an amazing season for Hahn.
It was. To battle back from adversity and, like you said, with injuries and things like that. But the guys over at the Geico Honda, they believed in him. Even Will said, hey, they believed I could win this championship, and I bought into the program when I got my first win, and the second one after that. I knew then, I'm in the hunt for it. But, he had to fight for it, and, the man who finished up second, Marvin Muskin, what a great season that he had on that East Coast, winning a lot of races, and he'll be back next year, and he'll be back strong.
Yeah, Marvin Muskin did have a good season. Congratulations, Will Hahn, on your championship. That's it for 250 East. Moving on to 250 West. It was again a 5-point split, and again the same two teams, Geico Honda and Red Bull KTM. This time it was Red Bull KTM with the advantage coming in, and all the emotion that surrounded last week for Ken Roczen and his failure to make the main. It didn't seem to affect him this week. He came out from practice all the way through and rode well, but he did have to put a late pass on Martin Davalos to get up into second place behind Eli Tomac.
Yeah, and you mentioned that late pass. It was the last lap. He had everybody at KTM on pins and needles. Waited, but where was Eli Tomac last week? That Eli Tomac rode a beautiful race. He
didn't get a good start.
No, he didn't. He came through, and he had to pass Roczen and guys to get up there, and he ran him down. And I thought at one point, the spoiler was going to be Martin Davalos, but Martin Davalos rode a great race. Unfortunately finished up third, but Kenny Roczen wraps up that championship, and Eli Tomac gets his 5th win of the season, but just comes up a little short in that championship.
And for Ken Roczen, it seems like he finally erases last week. If he didn't win this championship, you would always hear about last week, but he did win the championship, so I don't think anyone will even remember Salt Lake a couple weeks from now.
No, and I think he was comfortable. You got to remember a couple years ago he won the final round here on the West, and he likes his soil out there, and you could see the difference of him winning a championship in that East-West. He was really relaxed out there in that East-West shootout.
Yeah, East-West shootout. Ken Roczen put on the #1, so now he's 1 for 1 with that plate on front, but he won't get to run it next year because he's going to move up to the 450s.
He's done. This was Kenny Roczen's final race on a 250 in a Supercross. We'll see him in that 450 next year.
Roczen with the victory in that East-West shootout, but Kyle Cunningham, he had a fantastic second half of the season on that MyPlash Middle Militia Yamaha.
Yeah, I talked to Bobby Reagan down on the podium. He says, man, isn't it amazing what riders will do when their contract's up?
Yeah.
But no, Kyle's, I remember a couple years ago, and I asked him about that on the podium. He had a 4th here in that 450. Kyle Cunningham likes the Blue Groove tracks, and, the Anaheims and things like that, they're not quite like the Blue Groove track that we have here in Las Vegas for the finals, but Cunningham rode well. He passed Marvin Muskin to get that second, and, Marvin, he was just a little bit tired, I think, drained emotionally, not physically, but just emotionally, and he said, you know, that's all I had was a third for that East-West shootout for Marvin Muskin.
Yeah, but still a good ride and a great end to the season for Red Bull KTM, a historic season for KTM, first 250 championship ever in Monster Energy Supercross for KTM. So the folks that flew over from Austria, they're getting a party tonight.
Yeah, Heinz Kindergartner's having a great time right now. Jeff Leask also came out from Perth, Australia. You know, I mean, it was just it was a good night for KTM.
All right, moving on to the 450s. It was Ryan Villapoto with the championship already, and a lot of questions for him this week about would he still bring his A game. He answered that in practice, going faster in both sessions and fastest in both sessions, then came out and took the main.
Well, and I just want to say that our picks for people that are watching Supercross live, I picked the podium again. I said that he'd come out and he'd get his 10th win, and you know, Ryan Dungey is going to get second, and Millsaps is going to get third, but still finish second in that championship, which had happened like that. But you know, it's interesting. I talked to Ryan Villapoto. I said, "Hey, man, you've done something you've never done in your career. You got 10 wins." Yeah. In a season, and he says, you know what, I really wanted that, so it paid off for him tonight. He was fast.
All the more remarkable when you think about the fact that he did not win his first race until the 4th race of this year. So Ryan Villapoto went on an unprecedented winning streak.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We got 17 rounds out here, and he wins 10 of them. Oof. Incredible. It's going to be a great season next year.
It is. Outdoors coming up. We, of course, will look forward to 2014, but not before the Monster Energy Cup happens right back here in Sam Boyd Stadium, October 19th. That's when they'll get all the tough blocks back out and pack it all in again, and that will be your first opportunity, really, to see guys on new rides.
Yeah, and don't forget, you know, the Cross Club members, they get an opportunity, you know, Monday morning to buy the tickets firsthand. We're going to a couple new venues. Well, actually, we've been to Detroit back in 08, but we're going back to Detroit, and we're going back to where the Giants play in East Rutherford, New York. So, I mean, East Rutherford, New Jersey, rather.
New Jersey.
It's kind of right there on the border of New York, but it's going to be a great season and a lot of great venues.
All right, well, that's it for 2013. They're putting everything away. It'll be a little while, but 2014 promises to be incredible. Thanks to everyone for watching. That'll do it. Kevin and Jim checking out from Las Vegas.